He's motherfucking! He's motherfucking! He's a big Viking! He thinks he's awesome!
Hey everybody, this is me, the Untitled Viking, and this is Potato Pirates. Potato Pirates is a quick little card game in which each person is going to be a potato pirate. You're going to have your little pirate ships that are going to be crewed by these potato pirates, these cute little dudes. And each person is going to be fighting with each other, trying to become the new potato pirate king. It is like I said, it's a very fast-playing game, but it is a game that has a lot of fun little decisions. And also, will teach you some computer coding along the way. Yes, it'll teach you some computer coding. But let me show you that and how the game is played now, and then we'll come back here and we'll talk a little bit more about the game. Alright, I've set up a 4-player game of Potato Pirates. This is the giant deck of cards you'll be drawing from, and these are the 2 ships that each person starts with. And these cute little guys there are potatoes. The big potatoes represent 5, and the small potatoes represent 1 potato. So each ship has 10 potatoes on it. You keep the ship as long as you have at least 1 potato. On your turn, you can rearrange your potatoes. So if one of your ships gets down to like 1 potato, you can change them out. And of course, there's more potatoes that you can use to change out the big 5s to 5 1s. You can also, on your turn, if you have an excess of potatoes, you can turn in 4 potatoes and get another ship. And then you just get another ship like so. I should mention that all ship cards have an anchor side and a battle side. That's important because on your turn you're basically going to pick for each one of your ships, are they going to be anchored so you can put attacks on them, or are you going to turn them over to the battle side to use the attack that you built up on them. Now there's this giant deck of cards there. I'm not going to go through that because I've actually pulled out the cards that I want to show you. Just basically I'm going to show you each of the cards that are in the game. As you play it, you're going to have several different types of cards. One of the most basic is just the attacks. These are the attacks that are going to be available that are going to help you deduct potatoes from people's ships. If they ever run out of potatoes in the ship is sunk. So you have a roast, which, roast 1 potato, does 1 point of damage. A mash does 2, and then, of course, fries. Obviously, you see, like, roast potatoes, mashed potatoes, fried potatoes. Anyway, so on your turn, you can do something as simple as just putting that on your ship, and then on the next turn, you can say, I'm going to attack and use my roast, and you just pick somebody, you pick a target ship, and you do the point of damage to that ship. After the attack is done, you discard all the cards that are on that card, and the next turn you're going to have to go ahead, most likely go to anchor and go ahead and do it. Now the only time you can get attacked, whether you're in battle mode or anchor mode, but you can't do your attack if you do battle. When you build up, you can put any kind of type of cards up to a maximum of 3 on each one of these. So you could put, if you wanted to, like a mash and fry on there, like so. Put it on one of these things, you can do a bunch of damage. But most likely, you're going to do that. People are going to see that, and they're going to have a chance as it goes around the table. They're going to have a chance to do something, maybe hurt you, sink that ship, steal that ship from you, things like that. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Now the big thing about it is that you have control cards. Now control cards allow you to kind of alter up the different attacks you're doing. And so there can be as simple as something like this. So you say 4 2 times. So if you had that on there and a fry, so you're going to 4 2 times, you're going to fry. You're going to do 3 points of damage for a total of 6, obviously. Once again, you have to set that up, and hopefully it'll be fine. It'll come right back around to you. There's even a 4 3 times, so obviously you do a lot of damage with that one. But some of these are like 4x times, so x equals the number of cards in an enemy's hand. You're always going to draw 2 cards at the beginning of your turn. So like if you have a lot of cards in your hand and somebody used that on you, they could obviously do a pretty big attack on you. There's also cards that have while. So while a target ship has more than 4 potatoes, you'll do that attack. So if you had, like somebody had like this and 2 damage, you would just sit there and attack that ship until you knocked it down till they had like that, while they have greater than 4, as soon as they're less than 4, then that attack would end. And once again, you would discard all of those from that. Now, there are cards that have this if-then. And so the if one is, if it's less than 4 potatoes, they'll attack with 3 or less, or else attack ships with 4. Now notice it says attack every ship. All the other attacks did not do that. And so when you place that down there, what you can do is then you can say, you can actually put in these, like, if it's less than 4, we're going to do a fry, and if it's greater than 4, like that. And you do the attack, and those would, and so you would affect all the other ships that are on the board at that time. You can also nest things in there, like so. So, and this attacks every ship. So, every ship that's, so attacks every ship, so less than 4, else, so while greater than 4, and this would attack all the ships, and you had something like that, notice how, like, once again, you wouldn't have anything with the people had less potatoes on there, but because, you'd be able to just blast everybody. And that's a completely viable strategy. Now, remember, each person can rearrange their potatoes as much as they want, and so sometimes, like, you'll have different attacks that will be doing different types of damage, and then if you can't stop them from doing what they're doing, you'll rearrange your potatoes and like to prevent certain attacks from happening. Now, there are different ways that you can do it. There are things like, there's this card that says draw, deny. It blocks all attacks and surprises. So you just play that, you can deny that. The switch card allows you to, if your prize is how many ships you own, if you have 1 ship, you get a new ship and a potato. 2, you get to pick a card for the discard pile. In secret, you don't have to tell anybody. With 3 ships, you get to draw 3 cards. And if you have more than 3 ships, you get nothing. Hijack just allows you to steal any ship and all the cards that were on it. And then loot. You steal 2 cards from an enemy's hand. Now, how do you win? Well, there's 2 ways that you can win. If you either destroy all the other people's ships and knock them out, and you win automatically at that point, because obviously you're the only person standing. But the other way you win is by these Potato King cards. These cards will be in the deck, and if you draw one of these, you reveal it immediately, you put it down in front of you, and at that point it is part of your hand. So it can be stolen from you. And it is, like, if you are knocked out of the game, you have to give, like, the person that knocks you out of the game all the cards you have, including your Potato King cards. Remember that card that had the number of cards for X times equals the number of cards in your hand? These would be considered in your hand. So those come into play. But when you play these, everybody at the table has to salute you and say Potato King and do that. The last person to do it has to give you 2 of their potatoes, and so you can gain some health that way. If you ever control all the Potato King cards, there are 7 of them, you become the winner of the game at that point. Now, this is a very, very clever game. And also it's cute. I love these little potatoes. But I found myself, like, always plotting, always trying to come up with, like, that perfect combo. So I'd have cards in my hand working towards having a great combo that I could put together, but also hoping that, like, other players, like, would, not suspect me as being a danger to them, if you will. And, like, being able to, like, and so you do kind of walk a path of, do I just put together some quick little slam bang attacks and knock people out, or do I, like, foster, like, some really, really cool attacks, put them on multiple ships so they don't know which one they have to stop, and then use those when it comes time your next turn to, like, just, be able to take out tons of your opponent's potatoes and their ships at all at once. So it's a heck of a lot of fun. I did find myself, I found myself remembering the coding stuff I did. My daughter has actually begun doing coding and taking classes, and she actually referenced that stuff as well. And so, yes, I will fully admit that, yes, this game does teach you some of the rudimentary coding information that you will get with teaching, computer languages to people. But regardless of any of that, it's still just a heck of a lot of fun. But let me talk about that in my final thoughts. Alright, thank you very much for taking the time to learn how to play Potato Pirates. As I said, this is just a flat-out fun game. It is not a giant brain burner, but it has some fantastic decisions to be made as the game is played. The biggest thing is the build-up, right? The build-up of the different ships and having them be powerful. And the best thing that goes on with that is I found myself waiting for somebody else to kind of put together a really nice attack on their end, and then I did the same, forcing the other players to make a decision of who do I defend against. Now, of course, I always have the problem at that point of trying to can I possibly keep my attack going, or that's where the game beyond the game happens, where you're trying to convince the other people at the table, don't attack me, or I'm going to attack you with, you have détente, if you will. Now, obviously, if you're able to put together some huge attack with, as I showed you that last thing, the if, that, or else, and then, if you're able to put together, you become a target, right? And so you got to make sure that you have, some plan in place to protect yourself from that. And, I don't think, yes, this game does teach some rudimentary coding. It reminded me a lot of some of the old, even took me back to when I was teaching myself how to program my old Commodore 64. But obviously later on when I took some computer classes in college and things like that, it did take me back to that feeling. And no, I mean, is it really in-depth type of coding? No, but does it kind of give you the basics of it? It sure does. And plus, really cool art, really fun game, and I do like games that are head-to-head. I like that conflict. I like that interaction. And plus, lots of table talk, lots of people having a lot of fun, and just a really good game. So there you go. Potato Pirates. If you have any questions about it, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for your time. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right.